Mining is not free money. You have the cost of electricity, you have the cost of all the heat that's produced that you now have to cool down, and you also have the degradation of components. But what if I was to tell you that you could eliminate 2 out of those 3 costs? No, I'm not suggesting that you go steal electricity from the next door neighbors with an extension cable, because that would be stealing, and stealing is bad. But what I am saying is that if it's starting to get a little cold outside and you have electric heat in your house or apartment where you live, you're already paying to convert electricity into heat. So why not make a little bit of money on the side while you do that? I think you can tell where this is going.
The footage you just saw was recorded 2 weeks ago. Since then, I have actually gone and bought all of the graphics cards that I wanted to use for this challenge off of eBay and Craigslist. I have built the machines to actually handle all of this mining, and I have some cold weather that has happened outside and therefore allowed me to use all of these cards and see how efficient they are at heating up the apartment as a whole. If you just want to see what machines I used and see if it worked or not, feel free to skip ahead to this time. But if you want to know why I picked the computer hardware I did, keep watching and I'll explain that real quick. Now, because I'm going to not lose any money by having these cards converting electricity to heat as opposed to central heat, it genuinely does not matter if these cards mine anything productively. They could just be running Forza or Crysis, a computer game, and just sit there idle producing the heat, and that would be fine in terms of heating the apartment if that's your goal. Now, that is not entirely my goal, that's 80% of it. The other 20% is, if I'm going to have the computers producing heat, they might as well produce heat in a way that produces money to my wallet. So with all of these cards, naturally, they're not all RX Vegas to produce the most heat possible. So what I instead had decided is that all of these cards, from a huge variety of prices, down from $20 up to $420 for each of these cards, they had to be fast enough that by the end of winter, which I'm going to say is mid-February, they have to have earned back mining any cryptocurrency, didn't matter. They have to be able to earn back what I paid for them by the end of winter. So a $20 card only has to earn back $20 worth of cryptocurrency. A $420 graphics card has to earn back $420. Now, with the graphics cards I went for, I specifically wanted them to pretty much have a wide variety of TDPs, or how much electricity they burn, so that I could switch some units on and off to regulate the amount of heat being produced. Kind of like having an adjustable thermostat. So with all of that being said, let me show you the exact hardware I purchased and where it is now. I have nicknamed this machine Medusa. Inside we have a 1080 hybrid, which I think you can see the radiator of here. It's currently running folding at home, so that's bringing in just under $500 a year in free computer hardware. Here we have a Vega 56 that I picked up on sale since the prices have started to come down. That's just a network switch, it doesn't do any mining whatsoever. And then here we have a pair of R9 270Xs, one of which I picked up for $60 used, the other was $90 still new in the box. It's this Gigabyte WindForce one. It also has a Ryzen R7 1600X that's mining full-time. This computer runs about 24/7. If it ever gets hot, like it did a few days ago, where we had 3 90-degree days in November, then I will turn off the AMD mining on this system and just leave it CPU mining and running folding at home. When it gets below 70 degrees outside is when I fire up the AMD cards on here. But when it gets below 50 degrees, I fire up a machine I call the Furnace. Now, this machine here that is the furnace was originally going to be called the TLA build, 3-letter acronym, because it has RGB, it was housing an NAS, you get the idea. Now, that video never got made, because right as I was about to finish editing it is when I had the idea to start producing heat off of graphics cards to heat up the house. In terms of the money-making hardware, we have an FX 8350, which mines about as well as my Ryzen 1800X, and we have two Radeon HD 5970 dual GPU graphics cards. There will be a Crossfire video coming up soon because we have two GPU cards for 4-way Crossfire. In case this isn't enough old AMD heat-producing electronics, don't worry, we have a Radeon HD 6970 soon to join. I'm beginning to think that the 750 watt power supply might not be enough for this build. And if you thought that this wasn't enough heat, I do have even more heat that I can fire up. I have one of the two $20 computers I picked up with a pair of R7 250s. I will be 3D printing some mounts so that I don't have the contacts on the back of the card hitting the metal of the case, causing some shorts. That'll be coming up soon. And in case none of that is enough, here we have our 1800X main editing and gaming system with an AMD FirePro W7000, which is about even to a R9 270 or 270X, and we have a pair of GT 730s that are on just all the time. And that bottom card is quite bent to fit in that slot. And if you thought that was enough mining heat, you are sorely mistaken. Now, this is outside in the 3D printer closet, but we still have another $20 computer in here with a GTX 760. Now, one of the fans on it is broken, so I figured putting it outside in the cold would help to make up that difference. And indeed, it has. Right now it is 47 degrees outside, and it has been below 50 degrees for more than the last 12 hours. So now that we have had it cold for a sufficiently long amount of time, is the apartment warm? Yes. Well, you don't have to take my word for it. I have an infrared thermometer, and I have gone around the apartment and measured several locations. But to quickly summarize in a couple words, it worked. With just two computers working, namely the one I call Medusa, which has the 1080, the RX Vega 56, and the two 270Xs, as well as the 1600X processor all mining, that computer pretty much keeps the apartment tolerable. Now, to make it actually warm is when I fire up the dual 5970s and the FX 8350 processor. That one keeps it pleasantly warm, not just tolerable. I have not yet had a chance or an excuse really to fire up the two R7 250s, but I imagine that once we get into December and January and we get the annual Texas ice storms, that card will eventually become relevant. And in addition to not using the R7 250s, this system is only on during the day. This is in the bedroom, and the noise from this computer keeps my wife up, so this computer with the 1800X, the GT 730s, and the FirePro is generally off at night, not keeping the apartment warm. The Radeon HD 6970 will arrive hopefully by the end of today, and when it gets here and I throw it in with the 5970s, I don't expect it to change the apartment temperature that much, but I think I've pretty well established that if I have to fire up this computer and have it mining too, I can keep this apartment warm as long as it's above 20 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Please leave a comment below. Do you think either I'm onto something here or I belong in a padded cell? My wife hasn't quite decided which one of those categories I fit into yet, so if you guys in the YouTube comments, a very reliable source of impartial information, could help answer that question, that would be great. Leave a like on this video if you indeed liked it, I'll continue to update you on this whole ongoing project once it gets below freezing here, which will probably take a couple months. But thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. While you're looking for something else to do, why not consider one of these other videos? Thanks so much for watching. I've got a pair of 5970s to go roast some marshmallows with, so I'll see you next time.